everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our Big Brother 19 live feed update for August 17th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. It's birthday boy Matt Liguori, author of the Big Brother 19 Power Rankings on RHAP-ups website. How you doing, Matt?
Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. It is my birthday. I'm hoping that my birthday doesn't end as poorly as Kevin did now that all of his friends hate him. So hopefully I still have all of my friends after my birthday today, but we'll see.
Well, you've already lost one, sir.
Well,
yes. Happy birthday, Matt. For your birthday, I had you on the live feed update. I hope you enjoy your present.
the best present anybody could ask for. And you remembered, which is more than you can say or Lita can say about her birthday. So, Lita, this is the strategy. Next time it's your birthday, Lita, you just have to make sure that you podcast with Taran so that he remembers.
Literally, like every single person I say happy birthday to now, she's like, "Oh, you remember their birthday, huh?" And I'm like, "Oh, God." Now I just need to not say happy birthday to anyone, and then I'll be fine. So we are here to talk to you about the Big Brother 19 live feeds. Everything that happened yesterday is what we're going to be talking about, but there really wasn't a whole lot that happened yesterday. Really, just mostly it was just solidifying the target against Kevin here. So right in the beginning of the day, we have Paul talking to Matt. He says, "Hey, look, I talked to Mark last night, and he mentioned your name. He was like, why isn't anyone talking about Matt?" And Matt was like, "Hey, wow, that's not good. I don't like Mark anymore. Yes, sir, Paul. I will hate Mark now." That was about how it went, right?
Yeah, they were, I think, what was Matt preparing his morning bowl of cereal? They were in the kitchen, so, I mean, that's most likely what was happening. But Mark and Paul were talking the night before, and they were having just a small conversation outside, and Paul's taking anything he can to turn into happy belated birthday, Lita Gilman. Paul's taking anything he can from any conversations that he has with these outsiders to turn them against the house.
Yes, and he also sort of informs Matt about the anti-Kevin rhetoric going on. Basically, Kevin is our next enemy. Matt even makes a comment like, "Wow, isn't it just so funny how like every time we get out our main target, there's another main target that just pops up randomly?" And Paul, I'm sure, was just like, "Oh man, yeah, super strange, huh?" I mean, yeah. Because Paul is orchestrating it. Yeah, that's what's happening.
And that brings me to like something that I knew I needed to bring up here because just I don't see anybody else anywhere doing it. But I just don't understand. Like, let me just start off with this. Everybody that is bashing on Matt so much, and I'm looking at you, Rob. I'm looking at everybody that is so down on Matt's game. I get it. Like, I get that he's not doing much. He's saying he's going to be, making all these big moves and all this stuff. But even just these little comments that he's making to Paul, and he's showing us that he has some awareness of what's going on. When he's saying that, oh, it's kind of weird that everybody just becomes a big target once the other guys leave, because he knows what's going on. He sees it. He's, the veto not being used. I said in the power rankings that you just mentioned, I was mentioning when you think that Matt is doing something that is bad for his game, think about what the outcome would be if he didn't do that. So just for example, he didn't use the veto on himself. If he did, what would have happened? He becomes the number one target now. No, because now the alliance is, oh, he's being selfish. He's only thinking about himself. He's not thinking about the team. How does he not become the number one target if he uses the veto? There's a double eviction coming up. He very easily could have gone this tonight if he decided to use the veto on himself.
I mean, I see what you're saying in the sense that, choosing to use the veto on Jason, as I sort of mentioned last night in the episode recap, it's sort of like asking, like, should he have done that for his game is kind of like, well, no, because his entire game is built on the fact that he won't do it. He'd need to be a completely different player in order for that to be a good move. But that doesn't say a lot about his game overall. I'm sensing a lot of Matt bias here. I feel like you just want to support your fellow Matt. Because you're saying he knows what's going on, but he doesn't know that he's basically the next target on the hit list. I mean, Paul is saying his order is, and he says this later in the day, his order is Mark, Matt, and then Kevin.
See, what happened last night is just a conversation that I was, paying attention to. Paul said something about, I don't remember who he was talking to, but he said, right now, Mark is a problem. He said, Kevin is a problem, and that's on their list of, the next coming targets. He said, Matt and Raven are not a problem right now. We'll get to them. Everybody in the house is a target for Paul right now. Besides his core allies, he's making sure that everybody's names have been thrown into the line of fire, so that when the time comes, if it comes down to Paul versus Matt, or Paul versus Kevin, or Paul versus Mark, there's so many people in front of him that he can say, all right, this person is threatening. Remember, we talked about it. So while Matt might be a target somewhere down the line, right now, Paul is comfortable with having him around. And there's so many other people he wants to get out first. So when the time comes that Paul does want to get Matt out, I think I think he will wake up and realize that something needs to happen. And maybe there is a little bit of a Matt bias. I don't know. I thought Alex Kidd would be the one that's defending his game, until the end of time. But here I am doing the work. But
yeah, so Rob in the chat said Matt colored glasses. My problem with Matt here is that I can see him going in this double eviction. I could see Matt leaving tonight, as early as tonight. It's possible, because if we see Mark win the veto, the target is going to shift. And we talked about this last night, that it could very easily shift to Kevin, but it could also shift to Matt, because there are going to be a lot of people that want to push for Matt. Say Jason is HOH, 100% he's going to go for Matt. There are a lot of people that want to target Matt and Raven. Paul is the one, holding them back. But with Mark safe, I could, again, easily see Matt being the one that ends up getting the brunt end of this double eviction. And that would be a shock, I think, to many people, and also just like, whatever. But I
personally don't see it myself, just from seeing how Paul and Matt have been interacting. I don't see it right now. I think Paul can convince them to do anything he wants, but I'm always wrong. So just know that. So even if Matt, I'm literally never right about anything. I look for the best in all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
Who was the person you tried to convince me was going to win Survivor, like the day before the finale?
Sydney.
Sydney, yeah.
That happened.
Yeah. Okay, so they get a shuffleboard in the backyard to practice for the HOH competition. So it's going to be some form of crapshoot. That doesn't necessarily mean that the first HOH is going to be the shuffleboard. It could be the second HOH, but who knows? It could be either one. They usually have to practice for these crapshoots, which I think is funny. Like the fact that you practice the most random competition instead of like I don't know, like why don't they practice the slip inside one? I feel like that would be actually beneficial to them. I think it's mostly just to keep the show running smoothly. That's why I'm just having fun with them. Anyway, so we've got this crapshoot competition coming up. I'm going to guess it's going to be the second HOH, because, people are kind of crapping on Matt for saying it's probably not going to be a double if there's a crapshoot. But this does kind of take a long time, and they're always like, come on, keep moving. We don't have all day when they do these kinds of competitions. So I do feel like there's a big potential for this to be the second one. There could be some sort of quiz or other kind of competition for the first HOH of the night. But we'll see.
Yeah, it can go either.
Yeah. We also had Jason. He, again, as I mentioned, Jason continues to want to go after Matt and Raven. He's talking about like, I don't like them. I want to go after them. And as you mentioned, Paul is saying, look, they're not threats right now. Like, we will come after them. It's going to be Mark, then it's going to be Matt, and we're going to be good. But it's. I really feel like Jason really wants to jump on these people. He wants to work, like he's got a good relationship with Mark. He has a decent relationship with Elena through Mark, and he has a good relationship with Matt and Raven, but he just hates them. Like, he's just like, they do nothing. They're so annoying. I really think that Matt and Raven are in a lot of trouble very soon if the competitions don't break the right way.
Maybe soon, maybe down a week, 2 weeks from now, but just no matter what, I don't care how much Jason says what he says about Matt and Raven. Right now, tonight, there's a double eviction. Tension gets really high, and the big players emerge, and they have to push their agendas, because this is the one night of the season, sometimes there's two of them, that they can take control if they can, if they have the power on their side, which Paul will have the power on his side, because no matter who wins HOH tonight, he will push his agenda on them, especially if it's Jason. Jason, it's Alex and Jason. That's his tight, threesome right now. He will come to Jason. They'll lock themselves in the Austin Powers room. He'll say, "Listen, I know you don't like Matt and Raven, but right now, Mark and Elena, we got to do it, or we got to do Kevin." If Jason wins HOH and Kevin goes home tonight, is that really something that we can't see happening? Because I can see it happening. It's anything that Paul wants to happen tonight. If it's not a Mark or I don't know. I think Paul is going to get his way tonight at the end of the day.
I don't know. I feel like if Jason wins it, I think he will go after Mark, but I don't think he'll go after Kevin. He has been consistently defending Kevin and trying to give Kevin advice. And we'll get to this later in the day, but like he's defending him. He's talking with him. Like, Kevin, you got to stop. You got to stop. I can't see a scenario where Jason sends Kevin home. I think that he is the one person that Paul would not be able to get through to, which is interesting because Paul told Jason earlier in the day that, look, if it comes down to me and you, I'm going to throw it to you, which means that Paul, I think that's maybe a mistake for Paul because he's not going to be able to get his way. And I could, again, easily see Jason going after Mark or Matt and Raven if Mark ends up with the veto or something along those lines, which could be not the greatest situation for Paul. If he comes out of this double eviction without having gotten Mark, Elena, or Kevin out, then he's really starting to amass an enemy, army.
But also, remember a little bit farther back, no, not farther back, a few months ago, I know there was different circumstances around it, but Big Brother Canada 5, what happened on the first double eviction? We had Cindy, one HOH, and yes, there were some circumstances around it, but one of her closest allies in the house, a strong player in Ika, was able to convince her to take one of her closest allies out. And yes, Cindy knew that Netta had to go eventually. Yes, Cindy might have wanted to make a big TV move, but a player who may not be as strong-minded, someone like Jason, with a big, strong player like an Ika or like Paul telling them, this is the moment. You have to do it right now. You have to take Kevin out. Otherwise, he's going to be a snake and come back around and ruin your game. It's a tense hour, and anything could happen.
Certainly anything could happen. I think Cindy is a historically bad player, and I think she is like the one person who has taken out an ally like both times that she's played in terrible fashion. So I wouldn't quite say that I'm willing to believe that anybody is capable of that. But again, double evictions, they emotions run high. Anything can happen. But again, don't get your hopes up. So. We also have Cody talking about he's planning on making a big eviction speech. He says it's going to take the target off of Mark and Elena. I don't really know how that's going to work. I don't know if he really cares either. He might just be saying that. He also says he's going to vote for Paul if he makes it to the final two, which it was like coincidentally pretty well timed with when I was saying that he would vote for Paul last night. He's telling this to Elena. I don't know if Elena is smart enough to relay this information to other people, but this is not great news for Paul that this information is getting out in the house, because Cody would be a great person for Paul to be like, man, the jury hates me. Remember Cody? But if Elena is able to say, no, actually, Cody told me that he'd vote for you in the end, it really undermines his argument there.
It does. And at this point, does it matter if everybody's saying that they would vote for Paul at the end, or Cody, or whoever it is, because they've all acknowledged Paul's playing a great game and we know that. But the beauty of Paul's game, the thing he's able to do so well, is that no matter how many of them recognize that, yes, he's playing an outstanding game, they all still want to take him to their final five. Not all, but most of them that are working with him want to take them to the final five. They know that he's playing a great game, but they want to use him as a tool, and they want to use him, I guess, somewhat as a meat shield in front of them. They don't want to take him out. They know he's playing well. It doesn't matter to these people, whether that's because they're bad players or because that's in their head, that's their strategy. I don't know, but they don't care. Jessica just had a big speech last week where she said, if you people are idiots and don't take out Paul, then you all deserve to lose. Whatever she said last week. Cody can say the same thing this week. What's it going to matter? It's been 7 days, and nothing's going to change with these people.
Yeah. Also, we were talking about Big Brother Canada, and I know that not everybody watches Big Brother Canada, but I do have a theory here in terms of like when we think about like past players' influence over this season. We often will talk about Derek and his influence on Paul through Paulie, but I think the person with the most amount of influence over the course of this season has been Ika Wong from Big Brother Canada 5. And if you didn't watch Big Brother Canada, you're not really seeing this connection. But Ika, Josh was a huge fan of Ika. There are some other people that knew who she was and knew the kind of things that she did. And I think that they're trying to emulate Ika. Ika was somebody who was very abrasive and started a lot of fights in the house, and she was beloved. Everybody was like, yes, queen, go. And now all of these people in the house are thinking that they are Ika, especially Josh, who is starting these fights and thinking the audience is going to be cheering us on. They're planning on doing this like weird like thumbs down to Cody during his speech at the live eviction. Like they're thinking this isn't bullying. This isn't like, beating on the little guy. This is like us being petty. Like, I mean, Alex wearing the petty hat. Ika is literally Queen Petty. Like that was her thing. And now Alex thinks that she's emulating that, not realizing that like that behavior works in one way, but doesn't work in another way. And I really feel like her influence over this season, like in many ways, she has made this season what it is. And I think that's an interesting comparison to draw.
I think I can totally see where you're coming from with that. Not only did Ika do the interviews with these guys before they went in the house, like you said, Josh was watching the season. He knew everything that Ika was doing, and right as soon as he started blowing up on everybody, we were like, oh. It seems like he's trying to, be a little bit like Ika here. We had a conversation in the house the other day. It was Cody, right, that was saying that he wants to be like Ika and Demetrius. He's like, oh, who was that guy that was with her when we did the interviews? He was talking about Demetrius because they were together and they were doing the interviews together. He's like, oh, I want to be like that with Jess. So these people know who she is. They must have had conversations in the first week. That's what I'm thinking about, like who she is. Because what else do you have to talk about? In the first week, there's no feeds. They probably don't get, bothered as much for don't talk about, production and things that happened before, pre-game stuff. Like it might be a little bit more, able to talk about that more. So I could definitely might, have some influence on what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about it. Like, one of their only interactions with a former Big Brother house guest has been with Ika, who was interviewing them as a fan favorite. She is everything that they all want to be. And she's very, like, it's very obvious who she is. Even if they didn't watch her season, they recognize the kind of character that she is. And she obviously talked to them about what she did in the house, and she gave them advice going into the house. And so, like, they're obviously going to try to emulate her, even if they don't know who she is. So I really feel like that had a big influence on the house. But anyway, this whole anti-Kevin stuff really reaches a sort of peak with Alex and Jason. Alex is just really pushing Kevin. He's so sketchy. He's making a final two with everyone, and we really need to get him out. And Jason continues to defend. I don't know. I feel like, he's just getting nervous. We need to chill out. Alex, you need to take a chill pill. And then Paul is there like, no. Alex, everything she's saying is correct here. And he's saying, Kevin, he's jealous. He'll freak out that we're talking right now. It's Kevin. We need to get out Kevin. And then, of course, like Kevin just proves everything that Paul just said right, when as soon as Paul leaves the HOH room, Kevin's like, what were you guys just talking about? Why were you guys just talking? Why was Alex talking to you? And he's like, whoa. We're just talking. And he's like, dude, it's Paul. You and me are going to be against Jason and Alex when it comes to the final four. We need to work together. Alex, she gets really power hungry. She's HOH now. She thinks she's running everything. And it's just like, Kevin, no, what are you doing? This is like the worst possible thing you could be saying right now. And of course, so Paul just runs it straight back to Alex and Jason.
Well, Kevin has to realize by now that the conversations he used to be having with Paul aren't happening anymore, where Paul would come up to him and be like, listen, we're boys, we're going to the finals, like you and me, we're running this house. Because it's not happening anymore because Kevin's been put on the outs of the house. Paul has managed to convince, some of these people, like the Alexes in particular, that every little thing is such a big deal. So, look at the cereal. It's the biggest deal that happened. Mark's tanning in the backyard with his butt out, and it's the biggest deal. It's like, how could he do that? So every little thing that Kevin does these days, Paul points out to them, and then Alex runs with it, runs all around the house in her tutu, just screaming about how, no, not literally, about how Kevin is the worst and Kevin is selfish and Kevin's out for himself. And Kevin, it's crazy. How did this happen to him? He was in such a good spot like a week or 2 weeks ago, and now Paul has noticed he can't control Kevin as much. Kevin's a smart player, while the rest of these people might not be as strong-minded, and he is ready to go. He's ready to get Kevin to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevin correctly points out that people were a little skeptical of him because of the hinky vote that Paul ordered him to make. And Alex had always been skeptical about that because Mark had told her the truth that Kevin was that vote. And so she's never really fully trusted Kevin. And now, after Kevin went to Cody and talked with Cody a lot, it really has just spiraled out of control for him. And it's the sort of thing where it's like, it starts out minor, right? Like, he's talking to Cody. They're like, dude, stop talking to Cody. We don't need to be talking to Cody. And then he's like, all right, whatever. Like, what do you want from me? But like, their small suspicion sets him off and makes him annoyed and makes him act in a way which makes them even more suspicious. And then they have even more suspicion, which makes him even more annoyed and acts even more according to how they think he was acting. And it just spirals out of control to the point where now it's like, why are they talking? Why is Alex acting this way? Like, I'm not trusting Alex anymore. And it's just deepening and deepening the hole. Again, there's some lies here that can be exposed, but the more time it takes to expose them, the less Alex and Jason and the rest of them are going to care. That's the problem. It has to be a recent thing. Like, if it had been exposed that Paul had just lied to them that day, that Kevin, that Josh just told him about the $25,000, then it would be like, whoa, what is he? He just lied to me. But if they find out a week from now, it'll be like, well, that was last week. That whatever. So he really needs to get on top of this and recognize that what he's doing is not the right response to this questioning, right? Like, if people are questioning you, that is not your time to be like, whoa, why are you questioning me? This isn't cool. Why are you acting so strange? It's your time to be like, oh, no. I'm totally with you guys. I swear to God. I love you guys. I'm literally in love with you. I couldn't even look at another person in an alliance kind of way. That you just have to be that way.
I have no idea where you're getting this idea from, that I'm not with you guys. I've been with you since the start. I'm going to be with you till the end. Like forget about what you're thinking. Like, I'm with you. Like, don't worry about me. But he's not doing that.
All right. So then Jason, again, he goes to Kevin. He's like, dude, Kevin, what are you doing? You gotta chill. Let's Alex is fine. Paul is fine. We're all fine. You just gotta calm down. We're all gonna be good. I don't want to have to take you out, basically, is what he's saying. And man, Kevin is just not very receptive to it. So, I mean, we talked about it last night. I really feel like there's a decent chance Kevin goes home tonight. And if not that, it will certainly be soon, unless he can somehow turn this around or the house gets flipped around in some way. Again, if Alex went home tonight, I think that would be huge for Kevin. But because I think that Jason would if the anti-Kevin stuff comes from Paul and not Alex, if Alex is gone and now Paul is the only person saying that Kevin is being sketchy, Jason is not going to hear it. Jason is going to be, no, I like Kevin. What is Kevin doing to me? Nothing. And I feel like that will push Jason away even further. He already feels like he likes Mark and he wants to take out Matt and Raven. I could really feel him pull away from that group if that happened. So,
and this is, I feel like this is a good time for Kevin to stop the strategy he's had for the past few weeks, or I guess since the beginning of the game, is to pretend like he has no idea what's going on. And last night when he was talking to Jason, he just in the middle of the conversation, he's like, "Oh, what's Mark going to say in his speech tomorrow? What's his the eviction speech when he has to talk before the live eviction?" And Jason's like, Mark's not giving a speech tomorrow. Matt's the one on the block. And Kevin's like, wait, Matt's on the block. No, Matt at the veto. Wait, Mark, what? So it's like dude, give it up. This is not the time to keep playing dumb because people are catching on to everything you're doing. So this would be the best time for Kevin to just drop everything he's doing because it's all turning into crap. So drop the playing dumb thing. Nobody believes you anymore. Everybody knows that you have a lot more going on up there. You know that Matt's on the block. Drop it.
Yes. Kevin asks, whose eviction would create the biggest shakeup, but also be plausible? And if you're adding plausible to that list, then yes, Alex is the correct answer. As he points out, it's I think Alex could easily go home. She's up on the block next to Paul, and I do think it would shake the house up. Been saying it all week, but man, Mark, you got to get that HOH. And you got to make the right move. You got to put Paul up next to Alex. It'll be a great double eviction. We'll be having a great next week of the feeds. It's your only hope.
So let me ask you though, if Alex goes home, where does Paul turn from here? Because Alex has become his number one throughout the past few weeks. Does he turn back to Josh and Christmas? Does he hold on to Jason for dear life? Does he try to pull Kevin back in, Mark and Elena? Because he's got all these different options that he could go with. But where's he going to go?
I think in some ways Paul's game could crumble because I think that he takes Jason's loyalty for granted. I don't think he recognizes that Alex is 100% necessary for Jason's loyalty. So I think if he continues to treat Jason the way that he has been, he'll push Jason away without realizing it, and then still be like, well, Matt and Raven, I've been targeting them for a while. I'm not going to change that. I think that he could very easily see himself in a situation where he doesn't know what to do. He hasn't had to do a lot of adjusting. He's had a singular plan for a long time, and Alex leaving would completely demolish that plan. What he would need to do is go, you know what? I have to replace Cody. I have to replace Alex and Jason with Matt and Raven. That's what he needs to do. In that final five situation, it needs to be Matt, Raven, Christmas, Josh, and then he's set because he still has the numbers. He can try to pretend that he's still with Jason and Kevin. He'll still be able to do a pretty decent job there. But if he continues to think, well, I can still take Jason, maybe Kevin, or maybe I still need to get rid of Kevin. There's some adjusting he'll need to do, but it'll still be a much harder road for him because the numbers won't be there quite as much. So yeah, it's
because sorry, I cut you off. if he decided that he was going to, pull Matt and Raven in closer, and Jason ended up a little farther away. We're talking about, okay, Alex went home tonight. Now you have Mark and Elena on the outside who are still looking in at Paul as somebody that he has to go very soon. They have a connection with Mark through Jason. So if Jason starts feeling excluded from Paul, and then Jason pulls Kevin back in and says, all right, let's do this. Now you have 4 solid numbers over there. After tonight, we're going to have 9 people in the house. 4 people against Paul. This is a way that you could see Paul's game end if that's the route that he goes if Alex does go home.
Yeah, and that said, the HOH competition will be 3-on-5, so the numbers will not be in their favor, especially if it is this crapshoot competition. But that's still, it's better than nothing, and it's much better than it's ever been in terms of opposition to Paul. So again, we're hoping. And I'm like, I love Paul's game. I just want to see him have to work a little harder. I think that'll be fun to watch. So then finally, we do have Mark and Elena talking. Yesterday I talked about how Josh had tried to do some jury management with them after the fights. It seems as though that's not particularly working. They talked about how much they hate Josh, how annoying he is. I still feel like he might win over Christmas, but it's hard to see him getting, especially Matt or Mark and Elena. It's especially hard to see him getting their votes in the end. They're just like, he's so childish. He yells and then he cries about it. I feel like the crying afterward is really going to be the thing it's just like, it really undermines the respect people might have for you. And respect is the key element of winning a jury vote. They're also like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to have this plan. They empty out the ice cube tray, and then put it back in the fridge. They know Alex hates that. Elena did this, but Mark kind of helps her cover it up. And Alex just watches on from the HOH room. So they completely got caught. Yeah.
Elena said to Mark, she's like, I want to do anything to mess with them. I want to dump all their food that they enjoy. They're getting into the point of the season where it's just like, all right, we can't do anything game wise right now without power. I can't get Alex out. So what other ways can I mess with her? What other ways can Alex mess with Elena and Mark? It's that point in the season where just silly things happen, pranks start happening. I mean, not in like a good way. And they're going to do anything they can to make the little jabs that they can control.
Yes. All right. So bottom line, this is the morning before the double eviction. We're going to try to make some predictions here, tell you what to watch out for. Obviously, if Mark ends up winning the veto, we might see an emotional backstabbing of Kevin. That's certainly possible. If Jason is HOH, we could see him trying to avoid targeting Kevin if Mark wins the veto, and there might be some conflict there that might make for an exciting episode. He might try to target Matt. And then obviously, if Mark or Elena wins HOH, we could very well easily see Paul and Alex go up on the block. We could see Alex go home, but they could also make a mistake and put up Josh or someone like that, and then probably Josh or whoever else they put up will go home. So those are really the things to watch out for. Anything else, Matt, that you might be looking out for?
No, that pretty much covers it, but I think we just need to remind everybody that it's double eviction night. Prepare to be disappointed.
Yes,
no matter what you want, prepare to be disappointed on double eviction night, always.
Yeah. Those are the things to look out for, but the most likely scenario is any other of those scenarios, and it's Mark and Elena on the block. Mark goes home, and then we go into the next week, and it's like Elena and Kevin on the block, and something like that. So, again, expectations.
Brett will pull out the veil, and we can call it a wrap on anything entertaining happening here.
Okay. So that is our update for today. As I mentioned on the show last night, tomorrow the feeds will be cutting after the double eviction in preparation for the special Friday episode, which we will be recapping after it airs. Hopefully that will be a lot of fun. The recap of the recap kind of thing. But the feeds will be down. So in lieu of an update tomorrow morning, I will be talking with John Krause about the psychology of this sort of cult mentality that Paul has created. He was talking to me the other day and was just like, yeah, I think it's really interesting, the connections it has with like dictators and cult of personality, and like the way that we keep saying that, like, why aren't they turning on Paul? Well, John feels like basically any of us could be in the same position as those people in the house. It's basic psychology. He wants to run through that, and I think it could be very fun. So tune in tomorrow. We're going to be doing that at noon Eastern on the Rob as a Podcast Facebook page, just like these updates. I hope you enjoy it. It'll be fun. So make sure you check out the podcast tonight. Rob says it could be a big podcast tonight. Really could, depending on how this episode goes. We'll be live after the double eviction to talk everything that goes down. And then, of course, as I mentioned, tomorrow we'll be doing all that stuff. Matt, you've got the power rankings going on. How's that going?
It's good. I had Will Wall last week. I really enjoyed getting his takes on everything. And then this week I had Alex Willette join me, and she is loving keeping up with the season. So I really like having people on who are watching, keeping up with everything going on, and really into what they're talking about. So I really enjoyed seeing what Alex had to say. So if you wanted to check that out, it's on robasawebsite.com, the blog section, and hopefully a few more good guests lined up in the next few weeks.
Yes, and I forgot to mention, like, the reason, if you're not super aware of who John Krause is, I know he's done a lot of these live feed updates, but he does have a master's in psychology. That's why he's coming from a place of actual knowledge. It's not just an armchair psychologist. So that should be interesting. And of course, check out the Taran Show. I talked with Jordan Parhar all about his experience in Big Brother and RHAP. It was very, very fun. People have been enjoying it. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next time.